Hi, PerspectiveWeather.com meteorologist Paul Dorian here on Tuesday, October 9th. Hurricane Michael has intensified now into Category 2 status with maximum sustained winds at 100 miles per hour. It is quite likely to become a major hurricane, Category 3 or 4, over the next 24 hours or so before making landfall sometime during the midday or afternoon hours on Wednesday. It looks like it'll make landfall in the Florida Panhandle region, perhaps as a major hurricane, somewhere between the Destin and Apalachicola areas, but anywhere along the Florida Panhandle has to be preparing today for a potential major hurricane hit on Wednesday. Here's the latest super resolution visible imagery loop from weather.us. And it really shows a symmetrical looking storm right now that has again intensified over the last 12 hours or so from Category 1 status overnight now to a Category 2. It is still in an area of some wind shear. That wind shear will lessen over the next several hours, and that will allow for additional intensification and again very likely to reach major hurricane status. This is of course a dangerous situation for the Florida Panhandle whenever you have an intensifying storm like this just before landfall. It is generally moving to the north, sandwiched between an approaching trough over the central part of the U.S. and a strong high-level, upper-level ridge over the western part of the Atlantic. It'll move north right into the Florida Panhandle, and then upon landfall, it'll kind of tend to shift from the north to the northeast and ride up along the east coast, exiting finally later this week off of the Carolina coastline, perhaps as far north as southeastern Virginia. But again, a major hurricane strike is possible on Wednesday in the Florida Panhandle. Well, here's the latest hurricane track from the National Hurricane Center of NOAA based in Miami. First of all, that's the latest location of Michael right here. And again, Category 2 status right now. It moves northward, becomes a major hurricane, quite likely during the next 24 hours, and then hits the Florida Panhandle region, again, possibly between Destin and Apalachicola on Wednesday, midday or early afternoon hours. Upon landfall, it'll start to turn a little bit from the north to the northeast, right up to the northeast, and exit off the Carolina coastline later this week. It does not look like it'll make any kind of at least the remains will not make any kind of a direct hit on the I-95 corridor region here between D.C., Philadelphia, and New York City. However, there will be a strong cold frontal system pressing in from the northwest on Thursday, and some of the moisture involved with Michael will interact with this frontal system, even up in the I-95 corridor region. Expect showers and thunderstorms here in the I-95 corridor on Thursday. And some of that rain can be heavy, but the more direct impact will be southeastern Virginia, the southern part of the Delmarva Peninsula, perhaps extreme south New Jersey, and an area of big concern, of course, the eastern Carolinas, where they will get heavy rainfall from Michael and where they suffered through that deluge last month from Hurricane Florence. Several inches of rain expected here, perhaps up to a foot or more. It could even be some hurricane gusts that far to the north and east away from the landfall in the Gulf region. Could even be hurricane gusts here in the Carolinas over the next few days. Again, Michael makes landfall midday tomorrow, early afternoon tomorrow, possibly as a major hurricane, and then turns to the north and east. Well, let's take a look at some surface forecast maps from the 6E GFS model run. This is the forecast map for early today, early Tuesday, and just take notice here of the millibars here, 967 millibars as depicted by the 6E GFS model run, and there is the location. Let's now jump ahead 24 hours to early Wednesday. And here we go. By tomorrow morning, that hurricane deepens from a 967 millibar to 951 millibar, slowly approaching the Florida Panhandle region. Let's move forward here in 945 millibars. Again, an intensifying hurricane nearing a landfall. This is a very dangerous situation for the Florida Panhandle. Then even deepens to landfall, 942 millibars upon landfall during the afternoon hours on Wednesday, and then it'll start to turn to the north and east and spread heavy rain through Georgia, South Carolina, North Carolina, exactly where they don't need it here after having all that rain last month with Hurricane Florence. And again, a more direct hit in southeastern Virginia and the Delmarva Peninsula compared to the D.C., Philadelphia, New York City. It's a close call, and there still will be some rainfall in the I-95 corridor region because of a strong cold frontal system which will interact with the remains of Michael. This is the forecast map for Friday morning. Of course, any kind of a shift slightly to the north and west could bring even heavier rainfall into the immediate I-95 corridor region. But again, the bottom line is very dangerous situation setting up for the Florida Panhandle. An intensifying hurricane likely to reach major hurricane status of 3 or 4 even upon landfall tomorrow afternoon in the Panhandle region. Then it turns northeast and finally exits later this week off the northeast North Carolina coastline, or perhaps as far north as southeastern Virginia. That's it for now. From PerspectiveWeather.com, I'm meteorologist Paul Dorian.